How are you, man?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm great. First of all, thank you very much for joining me here. I was very excited about this news that you're joining. You're my number one pick, and it's really great news. So congratulations. And it's I mean, it's for me, it's the best news that I got in 2025 in regards to DCS. So I'm really happy for you. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it's great. It's, I mean, we will get into that later, but it's something I really want to do for more than one reason. But I think we will get into that with the questions later.
Yeah. All right. So first of all, I would like you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Most people know me by my handle, which is CurrentHill. And that's the name I use in pretty much all the virtual places like the ED forums, Discord, my website, YouTube, and all that stuff. So if you're looking for anything made from me, just look for CurrentHill. And I mean, behind my virtual identity, I'm just a guy from Sweden. If you haven't picked up yet on my not so forgiving accent, that's how Swedes sound when we speak English. You're just gonna have to live with it. And I mean, I live in a house here with my wife and 3 grown-up kids. I've been a computer enthusiast and PC gamer since, I mean, the early 80s. Started flying sims like Jet and Flight Simulator 1, the old school stuff. Yeah. And moved on from that. Yeah. And then I continued playing every kind of sim over all the decades since. It's been many years.
Is DCS your main one, or you got more?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's since a couple of years ago, DCS is the one I fly now. But I mean, there were some pretty good ones over the years coming out. And there were a couple of years when the simulators wasn't as big on the market. And then I went with the DCS. I mean, from the lock-on and all that stuff going forward, it started to pick up again. So I really got interested in the simulators again. I recently retired from work. With all this free time, I've always been an overachiever and very target-oriented individual, which also someone might have picked up on. So with all this free time, I knew I needed something to challenge me, to have something fun to do, learn new stuff, which I really like to do. And since I've been flying DCS for some years, as I mentioned, I decided to, why not try out DCS modding. So that's my background.
So you're already starting to answer the next question, which is when and how you started modding. When is it when you started?
I think, let's see if I go back in my memory here. I think actually, if we talk in general terms about modding, I think DCS modding is actually the first modding work I've done. I mean, I've been interested and played with all kinds of simulators, but I've never done any actual modding before. And so I think it all started a couple of years ago when some guys from on the ED forums really liked the Gripen and wanted to fly it. So we started to collaborate to create a flyable Gripen mod. That's actually how it started. We were a rather big team with guys who did all the different kind of stuff. We started to learn how to mod in DCS, and our first internal project was actually a Gripen mod based on the Gef, which is actually the one you can download now. And Whiskey actually is actually continuing on that one, but that was the first one. It was an internal project just to get something going. So, and after that we decided to make an FC3 based version. And on that project I wrote a big chunk of the code, trying to learn how all the flyable stuff in DCS worked when you coded for it, as well as I was responsible for the 3D model work for that project with the actual Gripen there. So those were very good times. We learned a lot, all the team working on this project. That was actually the start of my modding career, so to say.
Yeah, so this is kind of, the two questions are kind of connected. The one I have next is you have your mod packs, right? So you said you started with a Gripen first, and that was your first experience. You mentioned that you did the 3D modeling over there as well. So when did you started with your packs, like touch the assets of the game and not jets?
So after, I mean, to some extent, started to learn how the flyable mods work, I actually decided to try to learn the DCS AI modding, because that was something else. And one of the main drivers for that was actually to get rid of some of the, call it, restrictions as modders have, the limitations within DCS for modders, what you can do and what you can't do. And that's, I mean, the AI, it's not the same competition. I mean, for in DCS with the actual modules that you can buy that either sells. So it's not as restrictive to do AI modding. For example, if you mod aircraft, you can actually use more of the features of it because you don't have the cockpit stuff to code. You can actually use APIs and all that stuff that's embedded in DCS. So I decided I want to learn the DCS AI modding. And to do that, I had to think of a theme. And the most natural theme for me as a Swede was creating the Swedish Armed Forces.
Of course.
So, yeah, exactly. And that's how most modders start out with their own stuff. So my first AI mod, I think, was the VIII Corvette, which actually was based on a mod by the modders Admiral and Gregory, which most people I think know of. So I got their permission to actually release an updated version of it and did a collaboration with them just to try to learn the stuff and how everything works. So and the VIII Corvette mod was very well received. And I knew I wanted to learn all the different aspects of making AI mods, not just one or a couple of it, because that's one of the most common things that you either learn how to code them or you make the model or the textures or something like that. But I really like to do it all just to learn how things work. So I wanted to understand how I created the meshes, how I do the UVs, the textures, the rigging, animation, sounds, and of course all the coding. So I've spent many hours in the DCS log. I think I can pinpoint most all every kind of issue by now just by looking at the logs. So
just to be clear, when you're modding right now, the mods that you have right now, I mean most of them, is you from start to end. It's you doing everything, the coding, the modeling, the 3D modeling, the sound, everything?
No, that's a good point. To be able to release the amount of assets I release, I have to take some sort of shortcuts. And what often takes the most time to make would be the 3D meshes. I mean, the actual 3D models without the textures, all the stuff, just the models. So what I do is I buy models and then change them as I need to have them work as I want.
Right.
That's one of the issues. You can never really find the exact model you want, but I might buy the meshes to have something to start from. So that's how I do it. And then I create everything around it. Cool. And that also means I can find models. I mean, I don't need any textures, I don't need any animations, anything like that. I just need the raw meshes, and that's often easier to find when you buy them than the complete packages, which is almost very hard, especially if you want them to be fully working for DCS from scratch. That's almost impossible. I know I help a lot of new guys who's into modding, and that's one of the questions I get a lot. Can I just buy this and I just put it in DCS and it will turn up and everything will work? But that's not how it works at all. But so that's how I do it. The shortcut is the meshes, but everything else is made by me. And I really like it like that because I have control of the complete workflow. I mean, I don't mind working in a team, but after a while, I always consider everyone else to be the bottleneck. Correct or wrong or not?
No, I totally get it. It's nice to be alone and in control on your own rhythm, and it's especially when I see it as an artistic kind of job. So it's nice to have your own touch, your own standards. I totally get it. Last question before we're gonna move on to the DCS inclusion of your assets. Is I want the last point about mods before you're not gonna be a mod creator. I guess you're gonna be an official ED asset maker. What does the mod packs that you have right now have to offer today? And if you can please explain about AI versus not. I mean, I don't think a lot of people know. Well, maybe most now, but I don't think a lot of people knew in the past that all your assets are AI.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's. So as I mentioned, let's go back a bit. The Swedish pack was the first AI mod pack I created. And it contained a lot of, I mean, all the Swedish stuff, the ships, IFVs, tanks, infantry, helicopters. I tried to make all the kind of stuff. But after a while, I got a lot of requests for creating assets for other countries than Sweden because there were a lot of demand for more stuff.
Yeah.
So, and since I had made all the Swedish ones I want to do, I decided to expand and create a lot of different assets for different countries. After a while, the amount of assets had increased dramatically. I think I realized when I got up to 100 of them, it became a very complex operation to maintain, update, and distribute all the fixes and changes to them because there were enormous, one enormous package actually at one time with all these AI assets in it. And that's when I decided to split them up in country packs. And that was just to be able to manage them because a lot of people have heard about the counter packs. And that's the main reason is because you just can't manage them. That's one of the biggest issues with mods. You can't really manage incremental changes or updates as easily as core DCS. Because if you change one 4 kilobyte file inside a package of 10 gigabytes, people need to download the 10 gigabytes again. Yeah, exactly. So that's why my setup right now is I have one large package per country. And then when I make small changes, just fixes, I release an incremental update. So you install the large package first, and then you can always get, for example, if you have version 1.2 of the US pack, and then I will release a small incremental 1.2.1 version. And you just add the 0.1 version on top of it. Then you only need to download a couple of megabytes. That's the only way I have found to make this work with the mod. But it's still a hassle. I mean, I understand why people get into trouble by installing at the wrong place, overwriting this or that. It's completely understandable. It's hard, and it's no easy solution to have this work. I mean, I think I have over 230 supported assets, something like that right now.
You have quite a bit of them.
Yeah, exactly. So it becomes quite cumbersome just to have them maintained. I should also mention that over the years, I have experienced a lot of DCS core changes, as so have we all, which have caused a lot of assets and their weapons to break because they change stuff in the core that makes you have to have different parameters for the weapon, something like that. And most of these issues will create, crash to desktop issues, and so it's very dramatic when you have these issues. And then the mods make the complete DCS installation not work, and people get upset and all that. So I've really been trying to keep everything updated and release fixes as soon as possible when I figured out what the issues was. It's also made it harder and harder to create the more advanced weapons like ballistic missiles and guided weapons because DCS has changed the last year more than before. So I couldn't really emulate. There weren't tools available for mod makers to emulate these more advanced weaponry in DCS anymore. And that's also, I mean, when I know I had to, in one way or another, collaborate with ED to be able to deliver more advanced features to my assets.
Yeah, you perfectly laid out the groundwork for our next subject, which is your DCS inclusion. So let's start with the first question here. Is first of all, what will be included in DCS? Out of all the mods that we know you have, I don't know if you have any mods that we don't know you have yet or developed, but let's talk about what you do have, what we can see on your website. What will be included?
Yeah, let's start from the beginning. The CurrentHill Assets Pack is, just I want to mention, is a free DCS core integrated asset pack, not a DLC or anything you have to buy on the side. It's integrated into DCS core.
Part of the game.
And yeah, exactly. Part of the game, yeah. It will feature, a number of new assets, ships, aircraft, and ground vehicles of different types. And many of them will actually be a first in core DCS. For example, the IRIS-T SLM will have the dual seeker, which is a first. Nice. With the IR and the radar guidance. The Iskander will be the first, accurate short-range ballistic missile if we don't
we're getting Iskander. That will be insane.
Compared to the Scud, you can only hit the correct continent if you're lucky.
Yes. Wow, Iskander missiles. It's impressive.
Yeah, exactly. That will be very cool with a real ballistic trajectory and all that. And the attack cams. Gimblers, the real guided rockets and missiles will be part of it. So it's actually the first time we'll see that kind of weaponry in core DCS. And that's actually why I want to do this, because I want to have the opportunity to add this kind of stuff. So there will be a total of 24 assets in the first batch. But there will, of course, be even more. We are already planning for the next batch. But I think the question about, I think there has been, to some extent, a misunderstanding, but it's a very understandable one when it comes to what are these in reference to my free mod packs. So when I made my free mod packs, I try to be as consistent as possible, but there are, all levels of quality models in my packs. That's the name of the game. I really didn't have a set quality standard to meet because I didn't have one I had to meet. So that's what I consider one of the biggest strengths with this collaboration with ED. We can agree on a certain standard that assets would be more consistent in terms of visual quality, texture sizes, level details, code, damage models, FLIR textures, and all that stuff. So essentially, my library of mods, the free mods in my mod packs, were more or less used as a large storefront, large display of assets to choose from. But after we agreed on the assets for the first batch, I more or less started from scratch with every one of them. So they aren't actually integrated. Yeah, exactly. And to meet the new standard, agreed standard, this approach was quicker than modifying existing assets to meet a certain criterion. So, of course, I will reuse anything that's good enough from my mod packs, like a lot of the code and, of course, the research I've done, sound configuration and such. But other than that, some assets may have the same name as the one in my mod packs, but they don't share very much else.
Okay.
So that's a good thing to get out to everyone, so you don't think it's all about integrating, we just grabbing them, because I think that's how the Mason pack was added. It was integrated, but this is not exactly the same thing, because I don't actually, to be clear, I don't want to integrate the current standard I really like the new standard we're getting with this, because it will work much better. The models look much better, the IR will work as it should, the damage model is much better, and you have the level of details which make them less heavy for your computer. So I really enjoy that, and that's also why we pick the ones, we look at what I have, we pick the ones we want, and then I recreate them with what I have.
Right. I guess it's up to you to maybe, if you would like to in the future, to match every asset that you have right now to the standards, and maybe they will include in the future. And
absolutely. Anything is possible. That's also a good point, because as we talked about, we see the scanner and all this new kind of stuff, because I think that was also something that people weren't aware of, if ED would even consider to add this new kind of weapons, or are we adding weapons or assets with the same kind of weapons? The easier ones, some autocannons or cannons, a tank and all that stuff. But we can see with this first batch, as ED is definitely putting work. Exactly. They're exactly doing the work and putting new stuff in the game.
They announced the F-35. There is no there's no going away from going into the future, I guess, and that include your assets and everything that you have to offer, at least as how I see it. Anyway, the next question that I'd like to ask you is, a lot of your mods have weapons on them that are very new, work very well. Weapons you are able to put on AI jets, like the Storm Shadow, for example, and all the GBUs and stuff like that. Will those weapons, obviously those weapons I think will be included once you get the asset pack of that nature into DCS, but my question is, will be able to use those weapons? Those weapons, will they be integrated into DCS? Like, I will be able to drop a Storm Shadow from a F-18, for example?
Would they, all weapons will of course be added to the DCS core, which are included in these CurrentHill assets pack, which mean you can reference them from mods like you can today with other core weapons. Whether they can be used with a flyable or AI jets is mostly up to how the jet in question is allowing it or not, because that's not up to me. But the weapons will be added just in the same way as other core weapons. If you can, by a loadout change, add one weapon to another jet today, you can do that with these also. So there will be no difference. So if you can do it today with other core DCS weapons, you will be able to do it with these weapons I add.
All right. How will this inclusion will look like in the future? Will they include what you have only now to offer, or will they include everything that you're going to make in the future?
I mean, the first batch has, of course, already been decided. And as you might have noticed, we try to keep deliberately a very wide spread of assets from different eras, countries, different parts of the world. So there will be something for everyone. That's the main thing here. This will also be the approach moving forward, as new assets will be released in batches. We will, as I mentioned before, the current mod packs are kind of the storefront we look at. But I need to think about that. But there might even be one or two assets in this mod pack that isn't currently in my free packs. For example, we have the Project 22160, the patrol boat with the Tor M2KM, which is pretty cool. You know, when they strap the Tor on the back on the helicopter pad. Yeah. Wow. I just had to add that because I think it's pretty cool.
It is, and now it's gonna be cool in the game as well. That's cool.
Yeah. So you can actually expect anything, I would say, anything.
Wow. So as long as you're gonna meet the DCS standards, everything that you're gonna make is gonna be joined into the game, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. What we decided to add in a batch, exactly.
That's awesome.
And as I mentioned, we want a wide spread, so we don't start from the start on one pack and then go through it. We want something here and there to sprinkle things in, because also, it's better for the users because everyone likes different things, and it's also much more fun for me to do it because I do this it's not a job for me. This is a hobby. It's something I do for fun. So I really like it when it's a lot of different assets and all different kind of weapons you have to implement.
Man, this is great news. Okay, so what do you plan to make in the future? What can we expect from you in the future? I mean, we see the mods that you have right now in the website, but what are you working on? What are we going to see in the future?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm currently pretty excited about the release of the first batch of assets. And we've already started to make a plan for the next batch. I can't reveal anything right now, but I have an idea of what that would look like. And I think there will be a lot of stuff that people will really enjoy. So, yeah. There's no time to waste. Just have to start working on it, which I will. I mean, from my side, I already start working on batch 2.
Awesome.
So even before batch 1 is released. So yeah, that's also. I mean, you know how I like to work. I don't want to announce something and then it takes 4 years before. I mean, you've seen the screenshots already because all. I mean, they are working, all of them. So we are. I mean, there are a couple of things. We're doing a lot of testing, of course. There are new features on them, and also how I collaborate with ED. I think that's one of the questions I've got on the forums already. I can take this opportunity to answer that. I make all the actual assets, but I have the help of ED, who actually makes the more advanced weaponry with the stuff I can't. I don't have the tools to make them. I mean, we talked about the ballistic missiles and all that stuff. So the completely new things that need new weapon schemes, you can't use the things that are already in the DCS core because they need to create changes in the core in order to make these weapons. So that's how we divide the work. They make these kind of things. I make all the rest. So animation, textures, and all the stuff, animation, all the stuff is on me. So the new stuff we're adding, with level of details and all that, that things I make. But the advanced weapons are made by ED. Awesome. And of course, to have I have to say the collaboration with ED is working very well. I really enjoy it. It's super fun, and they're very, very easy to work with. So yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, that's great. Great news. That's how it should work. Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the core changes that you bringing into the game will affect the game as a whole. You know, when they need to put something new into the core, ballistics, for example. I think it's a really good point that you make there. When will we see your stuff in the game? When is the first batch is coming in?
Yeah. There is no specific date I have to reveal at the moment. I don't have a date, even if I slipped up. So, but I don't think it should be too long. What that means, But no, I can't go in. I don't have any more details than that. But I really think it shouldn't be too long.
All right. As far as I go to the future of you providing new assets into the game, you mentioned that you work alone and, there is standards to be met and stuff like that, but how often will we see a new country or a new asset in the game after the first patch? I mean, how often will we see your new stuff coming into the game, the frequency of it?
Yeah, and by now you know me. I don't waste time. I like to get things done. Yeah, yeah. I usually used to. I have my super award-winning two-phase, two-step process. I always use. Step 1 is decide what to do, and step 2 is do it.
Simple as that.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. That's how I like it. So as I mentioned, I'm already starting to work on batch 2, and not, actually working with models and all the stuff and the code. So it's not just deciding stuff. So I'm gonna try to keep up a really good pace, and I do my best to. It's always easier for one guy to do it than you have compared to a company with all the process and all that stuff. But I think we can keep a pretty good pace. So from the time when we agreed on the collaboration until we get it pretty close to a release now. That's record speed, I would say.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah. Yeah, and I think we can keep that up. I won't be a bottleneck in it. So I think you can expect the batches to come pretty regularly.
I think if it's up to you and you got your set standards to met with ED, I think we're going to see new assets added into the game and new countries very often. And I think it's going to be very cool because DCS is going to be like this, have this continuity to it that it's keep evolving and changing. And you can see new stuff, and your stuff are adding so much to the game. I mentioned it already in my video. It's taking care of the world in DCS world, and that's why I really like your mods.
Yeah, that's a good point, if I might add, because I know there has been some talk about the models I use and how perfect they are and how they're realistically portraying certain assets in real life. I think that's a good point. The goal with these new core assets is to add new AI assets in DCS. They are not supposed to be, player-controlled models in full fidelity modules that you buy. That wouldn't be viable to make all these models like that. So these are AI assets whose sole purpose is to add immersion to your missions, to create a higher fidelity world around you, so to say. That's the point. So you have to keep that in mind with the expectations. So what I do is, you always have to make compromises somewhere. So I always say that my assets are good enough, but I can make a lot of them to create the immersion.
Right.
But if you create, for example, a new aircraft or helicopter, you'll spend sometimes years on just the external model or the cockpit model. That's not, you can't do that with and you wouldn't want to do that. Someone has to pay for that also.
Yeah, that's
for
true.
all that time. So and also you wouldn't really want to have that kind of large models in game also for your poor GPU, and CPU would probably pack up them if every hero prop.
Right. All right, man, that's awesome. Do you got anything to add? Anything you want to address?
Yeah, besides the thing I just said about the good enough quality, I almost always get the question about how these new core assets will affect the free ones, the mod packs. Will they conflict? Do we have to uninstall the other ones? How will I manage this? A lot of people have enough issues just trying to get all the mods working. So I have really taken care to make sure that all these new core assets have their completely unique names and everything down to the file level. So there will be no conflict. I will still support. That's another thing. I will still support the mod packs to make sure they work. I won't develop them and add new stuff, but I will make sure they work it's a best effort in a reasonable way. If the DCS core changes much, I can't really support them. That's another thing. But I will try to support them. I will also probably remove any redundant ones just to avoid any questions. Why isn't the Panzer working? Are you talking about that Panzer or that Panzer?
Right.
So I will remove these ones, but they won't conflict. That's already made sure. I run all my current mod packs installed while I work on the new ones here, just to make sure that they will never ever conflict.
Well, I hope they will be included into DCS, all of your mods, as soon as possible, and then you won't have to support them as well. It will be going to be a part of the game, and all of your attention will be dedicated into develop new assets into the game. Man, this is that was a great interview. I think you clarified a lot of stuff, and again, I'm so happy for you. I'm very supportive of your mods and all your work, and thank you very much for everything that you've done. I used your mods a lot, and now I'm gonna even have them in the game, and I'll be able to share my enjoyment of them in my public server with the people. And good luck flying in my server now. If you're gonna add all your SAM sites, man, that's gonna be a challenge. So yeah, I would like to congratulate you once again, and thank you once again. Thank you for coming for the interview, and thank you for all the job that you're doing. I really think DCS is gonna look different after the inclusion of you in it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I'm having so much fun with this. So I really hope every DCS player will enjoy having these new assets available in the missions. I mean, without having to think about syncing and troubleshooting mods. I mean, among teams, that make it much easier for a lot of people.
Right. All right, man. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.